This is the part 7 of digging every corner of Konoha. Hope you like this video guys, enjoy. Chapter 61, Convincing Kyuubi. I see, are you interested in letting me enter the seal in your body? I can try to help you convince Kyuubi, maybe I can make you get along with Kyuubi slowly. Asahi asked. You have a way to convince Kyuubi? Kushina couldn't help being stunned. For so many years, she has been trying to convince Kyuubi, but that guy Kyuubi is, like an oil when she is a water, so she doesn't know what to do, and can only keep sealing him. Have you forgotten about Shukaku? Shukaku is still here, and he's staying around our village. Asahi suddenly said, and Kushina also remembered at this time that Asahi directly persuaded Shukaku in such a short time, and signed a contract with him. This is indeed a very incredible thing. After all, as far as Baiju is concerned, even if you agree to release them, it is almost impossible to get the other party to sign a contract willingly with you. Then you can try it. Kushina didn't want to be an enemy with Kyuubi, but she was worried about how to let Asahi meet Kyuubi. Meeting with the Baiju is not too difficult. Shukaku gave me some of his chakra before, and Baiju's chakra has the power to attract each other, enough to bring my consciousness to Kyuubi's seal in your body. This is what Asahi had asked Shukaku before. Since he wants to dig Kushina, it is natural to give her more benefits, so he has already prepared what should be prepared long ago, and his consciousness immediately sank into Kushina's body. Kushina's inner space is not like Naruto's Sure. Naruto's Sure is the real proof of how dark his life has been over the years, but Kushina is different. At least, she has not experienced such a dark childhood like Naruto's. It is a golden space, a little dazzling, and in the center, there is a huge cage, and inside the cage is Kyuubi. Asahi is not alone at this moment, as there is a shrunken version of Shukaku on his shoulder. Kushina is also there with him. This is the seal of that stinky fox. It's really gorgeous. As for those Sunigakure seal, they are not comparable at all. Looking at Kyuubi, who is inside the huge cage and sealed with many golden chains, Shukaku felt that Kyuubi was really pitiful. Tanuki, and the human over there, what are you doing here? And little girl, why are you bringing other people in? At this moment, Kyuubi looked at Kushina with a ferocious look, and Kushina was a little at loss. Kyuubi couldn't speak well at all. Basically, he was like a barrel of dynamites, which would explode at one point. Kurama, don't be so excited, I'm here to chat with you. Asahi looked at Kyuubi with a smile, and was completely different from Kyuubi's ferociousness. Well, how did you know my name? Tanuki, your mouth always too loose. Kyuubi was taken aback when he heard his name being called. Except for other Baiju, everyone else shouldn't know his name, so subconsciously he looked at Shukaku. Smelly fox, this uncle doesn't have the heart to reveal your unpleasant name. This kid has the scene of the old man talking to us in his mind, and our details are clear to him. This uncle thinks that he is the person the old man said. Anyway, right now, this uncle is living a very comfortable life. Shukaku said with great disdain. If it wasn't for Asahi, he would come to fight this stinky fox. What kind of proof that what the old man said is true? Kyuubi looked at Shukaku with a puzzled expression. He knew Shukaku's character very well. Although he was at odds with him, he knew that Shukaku wouldn't talk nonsense about this matter. Then, Shukaku recounted what happened after Asahi met him. There are even some things that even they Baiju don't know, so at this moment, Kyuubi is looking at Asahi with a look of uncertainty. Asahi knew a lot of their secrets, and he knows too many things. He felt that him being the person mentioned by Sage of Six Paths is the only possibility, otherwise, such secrets wouldn't be leaked by them Baiju. This uncle has said everything that should be said. In short, this uncle believes it. As for you stinky fox, you can figure it out by yourself. After Shukaku finished speaking, he stopped talking, and Kyuubi fell into contemplation. Okay, I'll trust you for the time being, kid. There's no way you came in to find me just to talk about these things, so, what's your purpose? Kyuubi finally made a compromise. After convincing one Baiju, it will be much easier to convince the other Baiju with the help of one, and once it comes to Sage of Six Paths, it can be said that it directly pokes the core of the Baiju. When Asahi said it, even if the Baiju favorability is negative, it will instantly rise by a lot. Of course I am here to be a peacemaker. At the beginning, you were controlled by Uchiha Madara, and then was sealed by Uzumaki Mito, and now you are sealed in Kushina's body. Your resentment must be very huge, and it can even be said that you want to cause disaster everywhere to release your pent-up anger. But I will tell you one thing clearly. That guy Uchiha Madara is still alive and is planning something about Jubi. These are some things that I have seen from the memory, although I don't know about the specifics. But you must know how serious the matter with Jubi is. My purpose is very simple. It's not a solution for you to stand in a stalemate with Kushina, and someone will definitely come after you. Right now, you and Kushina are tied together. If something happened to her, death is a good thing, as you won't die forever, but once you are taken to fuse Jubi, you should know the consequences, right? So now, I hope that you two can work together. I'll let Kushina let go of your seal, and you will be responsible for helping her grow. No matter what you think, this is the best way now, even if you don't want to tie your own safety to others. Kyuubi is difficult to convince, but Asahi still has a way. If Jubi moves out, he must either agree to it or wait for being used as Jubi's fusion material. In short, he won't have any choice. And this time, Kyuubi did not immediately refute. Although he was very unwilling, he still had to admit that if someone really planned to bring back Jubi, then there would be a big problem. Regarding the records of Jubi, Kyuubi can be sure that it is impossible to find it from the history books. Combined with what Shukaku said before, he has basically believed in Asahi now. I can believe what you said, and you indeed convinced me, but now, it depends on whether this little girl dared to let go of my seal. If she dares, then I can help her. But if she doesn't dare, then there is no need to say more about this kind of thing. Kyuubi suddenly looked at Kushina and said that it is not easy to become his partner. Right now, he wanted to see if Kushina dares. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 7 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 62, Chapter 62 Kushina's Courage. How is it, Kushina? What is your choice? Asahi didn't push Kushina too much. Will Kyuubi lie? Yes, and he's very good at that, but in some promises, Kyuubi still has his own pride and persistence, especially in the face of Sage of Six Paths matters. Well, I will believe you this one time. If you really want to harm me, there is no need to do so much trouble. At this moment, Kushina, who was previously restrained, went offline, and the red hot habanero went online again. Kushina's character is like a hot habanero, but because she was confused after she ran to Iwagakure, she couldn't let loose of her true personality before. But now, her temper is coming up again, so in an instant, Kushina removed her restrained personality, and immediately opened the cage that sealed Kyuubi directly. It was Asahi who was a little emotional. He had to admire Kushina, who was very bold and courageous. If it was replaced with Asahi himself, without knowing the original plot, he estimated that the possibility of him opening the seal was almost zero. Ha ha ha, okay, little girl, I will acknowledge you for the time being, but it is only temporarily. If I feel dissatisfied one day, your body will still belong to me. Now, you have been here long enough. Just get out of here. After Kyuubi was released, he kicked out Asahi and Kushina's consciousness directly. As expected of Kyuubi, he is a super arrogant Baiju. Then Kushina, congratulations, as long as you get along with this guy from now on, you will be fine. Although this guy is a little bit deceitful and arrogant, he is still a good companion. Asahi said jokingly, how can he not understand Kyuubi's character? To put it bluntly, just now, he was just being Atsunned, and after Asahi said this, Kyuubi chakra also radiated a little, as if he was rebuking Asahi's words. Thank you so much, I actually never thought one day I could get Kyuubi, no, Kurama's power. All this time, my body is like a time bomb, but now it's no longer like that. Thank you so much. No matter what, Asahi's contribution this time doesn't need to be said, so Kushina has nothing to say but thank him. Thank you. Have you ever heard a sentence that to thank someone, it's better to use? Asahi suddenly showed a strange smile, and Kushina blushed immediately, and then the blue veins burst out on her forehead. Don't you think that just because you are Iwagakyo's strongest, I won't dare to beat you up? Just get out of here. Kushina's shame directly exploded, and she instantly changed back to the previous red-hot habanero. That's right, it's better to release your true self before you face Kyuubi again. At this time, Asahi gave her a thumb up. In fact, he was also a little confused. How did Minato survive? When Kushina's true personality was released, she even dared to threaten to beat me. It is difficult to imagine how is Minato's life. It's really interesting. It looks like the matter has been resolved. Tsunade, do you think they look like a couple like this? Looking at Asahi and Kushina's banter, he felt it was really good for him to follow Asahi. After all, Asahi supported their respective ideals. With such a boss, compared to facing those guys in Konoha, Orochimaru feels that he has made a lot of profit. Maybe. For some reason, Tsunade suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in her heart, but she didn't show it at all. After seeing Kushina fully recovered, Asahi didn't say anything more. Now that the plan of digging the foot of the wall is going very smoothly, he has poached a lot of people from Konoha. At this time, Obito can't go to Konoha. Without Kyuubi to contain the others, even if Obito has Kamui, in the face of Minato's combat power, it will be difficult for him to get away even with Kamui. Especially if Minato's mark was put on his body, it is estimated that Obito will need to sleep in Kamui's dimension for the rest of his life, otherwise, it is unknown when he will be beheaded by Minato. Without the restraint of Kyuubi, Obito should not dare to attack Konoha. Of course, with the super god assist Danza, it is completely hard to say. In case Danza moved his hands in the darkness, it is not a big problem to kill Minato. Well, Minato will not be too guarded against his own people, as his character is, like that, so if he is really targeted by Danza, it is not impossible that. Anyway, Danza will never let Minato go. After all, he can survive until Sundame retires, but he will definitely not survive the day when Minato abdicates, so he can only make Minato abdicate early. But Asahi can only guess that he will do it. As for how he would do it, he didn't know, and right now, Asahi is still busy dealing with Caged Bird, as this is a crucial point for recruiting the Hyuga clan. After Kushina and Orochimaru joined Iwagakure, Konoha and Iwagakure were also busy biting the other villages' meats with their big mouths. This time, Iwagakure can be said to have made a lot of profit, but Asahi still suggested to Onaki to give some of compensation to those whose family members died in the war. After a series of good policies, the people will naturally work hard for the village. Because of such good policies, a shinobi craze is starting in the village. Whether it is some people from shinobi clans or civilians, they all hope that their children can enter the shinobi academy. So for a while, the shinobi academy was not enough to contain the new students, but for Iwagakure, who has become an infrastructure powerhouse, this is not a problem, and the school was expanded the next day. This made Onaki almost wake up laughing when he went to bed at night. There are definitely some geniuses among the civilians, and such a wide cast net will easily lead to them getting a few geniuses, so how can he be unhappy? However, Asahi can be regarded as taking care of Iwagakure's real weakness. It's not without reason that Iwagakure becomes weak in the later period. After all, compared with other shinobi villages, they didn't have anything. Konoha can still depends on the genius from their shinobi clans to support the village, and Kumogakure relies on kidnapping people with great bloodline right now, and in the later period, they will even make chakra cannon. Although Kirigakure experienced the Bloody Mist era, but there were many Kekii Genkai in their village. Tsunegakure also has Gaara, the friend of protagonist that is still young and powerful. Only Iwagakure has nothing. Although Onaki is amazing and Kekii Tota is more exaggerated than the normal Kekii Genkai, no one after him has inherited it. Moreover, their genius, Deidara, has also left, and even their Jinchuriki left the village, which made the village weaken. But now, everything has changed. With such a wide net being casted, there will always be a few geniuses captured in the net, plus the ones poached from Konoha. It will be enough for Iwagakure to slowly develop into the strongest village. As for Konoha, they can only wait and cry. Creators' thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 9 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 63, Chapter 63 Taking Orochimaru to the Moon. In the next month, due to the rapid development of the village, the manpower in the village was not enough. Even Orochimaru had to temporarily put aside his dream of eternal life and help the village. As for Kushina, she was responsible for researching the curse mark, Caged Bird. After knowing the method, Kushina basically mastered Caged Bird in just 1 day, but she still requires a method to remove the seal, so after a period of time, Kushina has some running in with Kyuubi, and they are constantly researching Caged Bird's removing methods. But even for Kushina, she could only obtain some clues in a month's time, but Asahi didn't feel surprised. After all, if this is so easy to remove, the Hyuga clan would have already removed this thing so many years ago. The people in the branch house are not idiots, after all, who wants to be constantly controlled in life. Still, most of the things in the village are done with the efforts of Onaki, Tsunade and Orochimaru, and Konga. This also made Onaki to keep looking for Asahi, and asked him to quickly proceed with the next step of the digging plan. With the help of Tsunade and Orochimaru, it was much more handy for him to handle things in the village, and this is also he had opened up most of Iwagakyo's secrets to these two people. There's no need to say much about Tsunade, as she had joined Iwagakyo some time ago, and Orochimaru also slowly integrated in. As for his experiment, Asahi also said that it is okay to do experiments, but he can't use people from their own village, and he can have as many death row prisoners and rebels as he wants. As for people in their own village, he can't do anything to them. This is the limit. Orochimaru didn't say much about this. When he was in Konoha, the materials he used in his experiments were all provided by Danza, so the truth is, Orochimaru didn't actually carry much of this blame, and most of them are on Danza. Sure enough, it can be said that he is the Konoha's blame king. No, it should be the Shinobi World's blame king. It is estimated that most of the things happening in the Shinobi World can be blamed to him. It can be said that he is peak of blame king, and no one can match him. After the village stabilized, Asahi took Orochimaru away and headed to the moon. As for the others, Tsunade was already engaged in politics. As for Kushina, she was busy running in with Kyuubi and studying Caged Bird and Rock Shinobi. Among the people in Iwagakyo he completely trusted, they did not have the heart to go, so Asahi set out with Orochimaru and some creatures that had been marked with Caged Bird. Although Kushina is quite amazing, but what if she can't find a way to remove it? Therefore, Asahi felt that it is better to try removing Caged Bird with the giant Tensogun. After traveling for a while, the two passed through the moon's channel and came directly to the moon. I didn't expect that there would be such a passage to the moon hidden near Konoha. It is really surprising. How did you find this secret? Orochimaru was extremely surprised and at the same time a little in disbelief. How did Asahi and Iwagakyo find this kind of place? It is actually a coincidence. At the beginning, Homura and his descendants had emigrated on the moon, so there are some records about it. Thousands of years have passed and these records have almost become ashes, but it is inevitable that there are still some leftovers, so we just discovered it. In order to find this passage, I also sent a lot of Iwagakyo's shinobi but it still took a while before they found it. Asahi lied casually. He didn't know whether such record really exists or not, but it was indeed true that he sent someone to look for it for a while. Interesting, then what about the so-called Tensogun? Orochimaru's eyes are burning with a raging fire, and at this moment, he has completely entered the mad scientist mode. There's no need to be anxious, I will take you there now. Asahi rolled his eyes, then took Orochimaru to the former residence of the Otsutsuki Clan, and then they saw the giant golden Tensogun again. It's really an incredible eye, and it also has indescribable power. But is it really okay for you to bring me here? This kind of thing is also a super killer for the Shinobi world. It can even be said that if someone mastered it, it won't be a problem for them to dominate the whole Shinobi world. Orochimaru asked after testing the power of the giant Tensogun. There's no need to feel doubtful to you. Since I have recruited you, I will naturally let your talents bloom to the fullest. Besides, will you do anything to our Iwagakyo? Asahi smiled and asked back. Ha 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 ha, you are indeed very brave, and you have so much courage to do this kind of thing. If you are replaced by someone else, they would not dare to do it at all. Orochimaru admires Asahi and also Asahi's courage. He felt that Asahi is so much stronger than Danza both in strength and mind. But how could he know that this is all because Asahi has nothing to fear, nothing more? If his strength is enough to crush this kind of thing, Asahi will bring his people to it, otherwise, Asahi will treat this thing as a secret that is needed to be infinitely sealed. Asahi is not courageous, but has the confidence. But since Orochimaru said so, Asahi naturally would not deny it himself. He just let Orochimaru think whatever he thinks. You can touch everything here, and I won't even say anything even if you wanted to dig up the graves of the people here directly, but the only thing you can't do is to go to the central position, as that's where the seal of Otsutsuki Kaguya is located. Although I don't think you can unlock the seal, it is still better not to touch it. After all, she is the ancestor of chakra. After she comes out, no one can be her opponent. Asahi said, he is not afraid of Kaguya's strength, but the only thing he is scared of is her space-type ninjutsu, so before he could be invincible against those kind of things, he chose to give Orochimaru a vaccination first, otherwise, it will be bad if this guy really unsealed Kaguya. Don't worry, you've said it many times, so I won't touch that place, but it won't be easy to say when we have enough preparations in the future. After all, the other party has what I desire the most. Orochimaru stared central position in the sky and said, after all, what he desires the most is eternal life, and Kaguya has this key factor in her. Then you'll have to wait until I have a way to deal with her. Before that, you should study these first. Well, with those things I gave you, maybe before we could release this guy, you can work out a way to get eternal life. Asahi shook his head. He knew that Orochimaru's technological ability is too strong, and he felt that if he gives Orochimaru time, he can do anything. Well, we'll just wait and see, but don't you have to test the capabilities of this thing? Orochimaru suddenly pointed at the giant Tensogun and said. And at this time, Asahi slapped his forehead as he almost forgot about his reason coming here. /N, here, I will explain the matter with Orochimaru. Because the protagonist can't absorb the Tensogun, he chose to simply hand it over to Orochimaru to study so that he can evolve their technology. After all, holding it in his hand is useless. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am poor guy. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 9 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 64, another Uzumaki's girl. The reason Asahi came here, in addition to let Orochimaru study these things and turned this place into a testing ground, is to study caged birds removing method. For this matter, he made 2 preparations, one is Kushina's research, and the other is to use this giant Tensogun to achieve it. This time, he brought some small animals, and these small animals have a green symbol on their foreheads, which is the mark of the caged bird. The caged bird is not only can be used at the Hyuga clan, but the biggest difference between the Hyuga clan and the others is that once they are killed, their Bakugan will be destroyed. Other than that, this is also a curse that controls people. Asahi put his hand on the giant Tensogun, and his other hand was holding a rabbit that had been cursed with the caged bird. After that, he clearly sensed the curse mark, caged bird on the rabbit, directly induced the giant Tensogun, and the huge pupil power poured into the rabbit's body, destroying the curse mark, caged bird. Success. It's successful, but it seems to have some after effects. Asahi looked a little speechless at the rabbit, whose brain had been burned, in his hand. The Tensogun's pupil power is very domineering, and this giant Tensogun's pupil power is much more domineering than the average Tensogun. In this case, Asahi had casually induced it to release its pupil power, so the pupil power released was too much just now, which caused the rabbit's caged bird to be removed, but its brain was also burned. However, Asahi felt that he has seen hope. He knew that it depends on how he could control the amount of pupil power poured. As long as this amount is well controlled, there is no need to worry about these creatures' brains being directly burned. Fortunately, he brought a lot of these small animals. In the end, the 10 small animals he carried were all used up, but he still couldn't handle this problem, but he can still find a way. As long as he has enough experimental subjects, he believed he can do it. Now that he knew this, he handed over this mess directly to Orochimaru. Anyway, it would be very troublesome for him to do such a brain-burning thing, as he's not someone who can do such things. He felt that it won't be a big problem for Orochimaru to master this method of removing the caged bird. After that, Asahi left the moon. As for Orochimaru, he has already regarded this place as his own research site and planned to turn this place into a laboratory. In this regard, Asahi also agrees, as this place is much safer than the Shinobi world. At least, it won't be noticed by White Zetsu, but it's a little troublesome to transport things later. Before he left, he also talked to Orochimaru and asked if he could use the giant Tensogun to open up a new passage. After all, since Homura can open up a passage to the Shinobi world, with the giant Tensogun, why can't Orochimaru? Of course, even if Orochimaru can succeed, it is estimated that it won't be just in a day or two, and it may take a lot of time to accumulate experiences. After leaving the moon, the channel outside was once again covered up by Asahi to prevent anyone from discovering it, and then he returned to Iwagakure. Right now, he has now become the brightest new star in Iwagakure. Not long after he returned, there was one news from Konoha. Yondaime Hokage has been determined, and it is Namikaze Minato as expected. After searching for Orochimaru and the others to no avail, Sundame and the others can only slow down the search, and then, in order to save face, he directly made Minato as the Yondaime Hokage, in order to give out some deterrence to the outside world. And Minato, who is now the Yondaime Hokage, has indeed gives the other villages a certain degree of deterrence. It's all because of his Flying Thunder God technique. After all, no one wants to sleep at night without waking up anymore. Flying Thunder God technique's deterrence comes from its nature of being impossible to guard against, so some of the Shinobi villages, who are just about to move, have also temporarily held back. However, as long as there are some more troubles in Konoha, these villages definitely rushed up to Konoha immediately. However, what makes Asahi a little confused is that the inertia of the plot is terrifying. It has only been a month or two, and Minato has gotten along with a new girl, and she is also a member of the Uzumaki clan. My god, how can it be so coincidental? Is it because of the butterfly wings, or is she Karen's mother? If she is really Karen's mother, then it will be really fun. Asahi looked at the information with a confused expression. Isn't Minato's speed a bit too fast? Didn't he like Kushina? How can he get closer to another girl in just a month or two? The speed is exaggerated. However, Kushina also explained later that there is actually nothing between Minato and her, and she just treated Minato as her male best friend. They were a very good friend, but because so many things had happened afterwards, they are no longer proper friend. And Minato also married this new girl not long after. At this moment, time quietly came to Konoha's year 47. The war that broke out in year 46 was ended by Asahi in less than a year. Now that it's Konoha's year 47, the first batch of Konoha 11 is almost about to appear. Neji, Tenten and Lee, the three of them are 1 year older than the others, so they were born this year. T/N, I don't know how the author count the time. He said that Asahi ended the war in less than a year, and in the original work, the war lasted for a few years. However, now he said that Neji and the others should about to be born, which is strange as it's just a little more than a year since the war started, and Neji was born after the war in the original work. In addition, Kitsuchi's daughter was also born, and Onaki has become the grandfather. Old man, tell me, how did you get the names for your descendants? Your son's name is Kitsuchi, your name is Onaki, and now you actually named your granddog the Kurotsuchi. T/N, in Japanese, Kitsuchi means yellow earth, Kurotsuchi means black earth, and Onaki means exaggeration. In Chinese, Onaki is written with 3 characters, which means big, wild, and wood. It didn't seem strange to him when he saw the original work, but now, Asahi feels that it is very strange. After all, Onaki's name and his descendants' names are too wide apart. Moreover, Kurotsuchi is a girl, but her name actually means black earth. Back then, I hoped that Kitsuchi could inherit the will of stone and be a steadfast person, that's why I gave him that name. Onaki explained. It seems that you did not make a mistake in his name, old man. Uncle Kitsuchi is indeed very down to earth, well, very down to earth. Asahi couldn't help giving a thumbs up to Onaki. Kitsuchi was indeed very down to earth, even to the point of being dumb. He doubted whether Onaki could be a prophet, as the name was too suitable for Kitsuchi. We can continue to chat without talking about this. Onaki's forehead couldn't help but getting black. This name has been also complained by others many times. But, how would he know that his son turned out to be such a person? After all, Onaki is very smart, so how can he give birth to such an extremely dumb son? Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am poor guy. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 4 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 65. Chapter 65. The Bloody Mist era is still happening. By the way, boy, let's not talk about these things for now. Something happened on Kirigakyo. At this time, Onaki suddenly changed the subject. It is estimated that he himself was confused by the name, but for Asahi, it was not important. Let alone Kitsuchi and Kurotsuchi, even if they are called Doro, it has nothing to do with him. T/N, Doro means mud. What happened in Kirigakyo? Asahi's eyelids twitched. If something happens to Kirigakyo, then there can only be one thing, that is the start of the Bloody Mist era, but this makes Asahi puzzled. In the original work, the reason Yugura is controlled by Obito to start the Bloody Mist era should be because of Rin's matter. But since he crossed over, things have undergone a series of changes. Yugura has already become Sanbi's Jinchuriki. Originally, Sanbi should be inside Rin's body and died with Rin. Only after the resurrection will Sanbi be sealed in Yugura's body, and because of Rin's death, Obito, who has a grudge, will control Yugura. Then here comes the problem. Yugura is still alive, and he has already become Sanbi's Jinchuriki long ago. But Rin's death will definitely still happen, as Madara will not let the possibility of blackening Obito, so Rin must be finished. Maybe her death related with Kirigakyo, and that's why Obito controls Yugura again. In short, everything has become a little weird now. The plot has obviously been messed up, but now it seems that it still tried to recover to the original plot. On Kirigakyo, after Yugura recovered a little, he ordered a bloody rectification in Kirigakyo. Various policies have become extremely bloody. From the rumors from the outside world, it is because he has been stimulated by you, and he wanted to increase Kirigakyo's strength even higher, that's why this happens. In short, the situation on Kirigakyo is very weird. Onaki explained Kirigakyo's situation, and Asahi realized it. It is no surprise that this time, Madara is the one who controlled Kirigakyo and attacked Rin, and then made Obito blackened, so Obito took the initiative to attack Yugura. This is really made Asahi speechless to the extreme, as the plot was forcibly twisted back to the original. Well, old man, you should continue to monitor the situation at Kirigakyo. Asahi nodded and said. From Kirigakyo, he still has a chance to get good subordinates, one is Haku and the other is Kimimaro. Both of these can be nurtured into his most loyal subordinates, and their Kekii Genkai are also good. This time, Orochimaru should be able to fix the bloodline sickness in Kimimaro's body. But when he thought of Haku, Asahi felt a toothache. He never imagined that Haku was a man. When he first watched Naruto before, he thought that Haku's relationship with Zabuza was a kind of pessimistic relationship, but when he knew that Haku is a man, this began to change. Asahi started to doubt whether the original author is straight or not. Otherwise, there will be so many doubtful things happening. One is that Naruto kissed Sasuke, although the meaning is a joke, but there might be hidden meanings. There are also 2 super brothers, Itakai and Yondaime Reikage. These 2, there's nothing important, but the most obvious thing is that after knowing that Haku is a man, Asahi had goosebumps. However, Kirigakyo is indeed good for poaching. In short, after the Bloody Mist era starts, he can definitely work on the Yuki clan and the Hozuki clan. Asahi doesn't know these 2 clans very well, so even if he can poach them, he can only give these people low status in the village, and it can't be compared with the people he poached from Konoha, as he dares to use these people because he understands them, not because he has courage. Of course, it still depends on the specific situation. After all, he only cares about 2 people. If he can dig a few more people, it's a good thing, but if you can't, it's not a big deal. You kid must be eyeing Kirigakyo. Onaki's eyelids twitched. He found that Asahi's thinking was a bit too amazing. Just after he dug so many people from Konoha and also eyeing the other two great clans, he now started to target Kirigakyo. It depends on the situation, it's just a backup plan. It won't do us any harm to keep an eye on it, and old man, send someone to monitor Kumogakyo for me. I always feel that Kumogakyo is not that simple. Asahi said. There are two reasons he asked Onaki to monitor Kumogakyo. One is because of the incident with Hinata in the future. He needs that incident to get a wave of good feelings, and it is also at that time that he can have a good talk with Hayashi. The second thing is, he is very suspicious of Kumogakyo's specific situation. In the original book, many weird things came from Kumogakyo, like the 6 paths sacred treasures. Needless to say, this thing is passed down from their ancestors. But the ruins on Island Turtle can actually help train Jinchuriki. No matter how you look at it, it is kind of strange, as there is an enchantment enough to stop the Baiju, and a Jinchuriki won't run berserk there. Of course, the thing that shocked Asahi the most is the chakra cannon. Such thing that shouldn't appear in Shinobi World could actually be created by Kumogakyo. Looking at it this way, Asahi felt that Kumogakyo seems to have a lot of things. But is there a relationship between Kumogakyo and the Otsutsuki clan? No, there should be no relationship between the two, but Kumogakyo has come up with so many good things, which makes me have to wonder whether Kumogakyo might be located on the top of some incredible ruins. Otherwise, how can it be possible that they know so many things, and able to come up with so many good things? Because of this, Asahi needs to make Onaki monitor Kumogakyo. No problem, I will get some of our people to pay close attention to them, but those people from Tsunegakyo have been annoying me recently, hoping to redeem their village's Baiju. Onaki said another thing. He was very annoyed during this period of time. After all, Tsunegakyo's messenger has been coming here batch after batch, just for the sake of taking Shukaku back. After all, losing a Baiju is quite fatal for a village. Konoha can't find theirs at all, but Tsunegakyo's people do know that Shukaku is in Iwagakyo's hands now. Just chase them away. Shukaku has signed a summoning contract with me, and he is now his own. As a defeated country, how can they have so many demands? Just directly respond to them, either stop bothering us with this kind of thing, or I will go to their sandy land for a walk. They will definitely know what choice to choose. Asahi said indifferently, after all, he was annoyed that a defeated country dares to be so demanding. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 5 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 66. Chapter 66. Danza is the god of pit. Tsunegakyo's people were stunned by Onaki and Asahi's words, but they didn't dare to release a fart, and went straight back to their village. Compared with Asahi going to their village for a walk, it seems that Baiju is not a big deal. So they withdraw decisively. In short, Asahi's deterrence is much greater than that of Shukaku, and Shukaku is now living very well in the land of Earth. At least, he doesn't need to be locked in that small place, and he is also free outside. Although he can't run everywhere, he still feels that it was pretty good. Time passed quietly, and in a flash, it is the second half of Konoha's year 48. During this period, Asahi was very bored and had nothing to do, but to his surprise, Kushina figured out how to remove caged bird during this period. This is a super good news, as he doesn't have to take the Hyuga clan to the moon. Should I say that as expected of Uzumaki clan? This sealing technique is indeed very awesome. Of course, during this period, Asahi has also started to create the technology tree in this world. There are no refrigerators, lights and so on in this world, but after Asahi asked Onaki to form a research team, the technology tree began to climb rapidly. Asahi doubted whether they were possessed by a guy named Tony. After all, the speed of the technology climbing is very fast. After just a short period of time, some simple electronic devices were obtained. According to the current trend, it is estimated that in a few years, they can get the TV out, and in a few more years, they will have bloggers in this world. Sure enough, Naruto World is really strange. Just from a little nudge, these people's speed in advancing technology is really amazing. By the way, This year is Konoha's year 48, which means that Naruto and the others are going to be born soon, but Kushina has been dug here. So, would Kyuubi's attack still happen? Asahi pondered. Now that Kyuubi is on his side, Obito alone can't turn over any storms, so what will happen next? According to the previous experience, Asahi is almost certain that the plot will be forced to happen, but he didn't know what will happen this time. Asahi-sama, Sashikage-sama is asking for your presence, please come with me. Just as Asahi was thinking about this matter, an Iwagakyo's Anbu appeared in front of Asahi directly. That old man is looking for me. Okay, I will go now. Asahi is a little curious. Unless it was a major event, Onaki won't go look for him. Now, because his sunshine won't burst out anymore, he simply lives in the village, and the place where he lived before has become Shukaku's lair. One time when Asahi went to see Shukaku, he discovered that Shukaku was actually soaking in the lake to take a bath. At that time, Asahi was very shocked. Isn't this guy made of sand? How dare he go to the bath? But Shukaku explained that his body is just a huge mass of chakra. The condensed sand body is because he is in Jinchuriki's body, and at this moment, he is just a chakra condensate, so it is not a big deal for him to take a bath, but Shukaku is indeed feeling very comfortable. Kushina even talked to Asahi several times and said that Kyuubi is jealous. It is clear that they are both Baiju. So why do Shukaku can run freely outside, and he is sealed? He felt that it is really unfair. But Kyuubi has no choice but to endure even if it's unfair. However, if Asahi remembers correctly, Kyuubi seems to be able to come out in the form of chakra, but this needs them to be harmonized to a certain extent with his Jinchuriki. Even Naruto only did it in the Tensogun incident. As for Kushina, it is impossible to achieve this level without grinding for 8 to 10 years. Therefore, no matter how suffocated Kyuubi is, he will have to endure it. Yonbi and Gobi are also jealous in their hearts, but Asahi still said that if they want to come out, then they can just honestly harmonize with their Jinchuriki. With his cunning tongue and Shukaku's assist, and because the relationship between Yonbi and Gobi and their Jinchuriki is also good, they can get along very well. Asahi knew that even if he's not on Iwagakyo's side now, if the other villages wanted to do anything against Iwagakyo, they have to carefully weight their own weights. Old man, what can I do? After arriving at Onaki's office, Asahi found that the others were not here, and there's only Onaki. It might be a big deal or a small matter. On Konoha's side, that old fox Danza contacted me again. Danza. What did he contact you for and what he wants to do? As soon as he heard Danza's name, Asahi's spirit lit up. When Danza got involved, he was undoubtedly killing the people in his own village, but to outsiders like me, this is a super benefit. That guy contacted me and wanted to cooperate with our Iwagakyo to get Yondaime Hokage killed. Why does this guy think that Hokage's position is really such a good place? He has pitted so many people in his own village. If this goes on like this, Konoha will be almost useless when he becomes the Hokage. Onaki's face is filled with emotion and wonder when he said it. He once stimulated it in his mind. If Danza was in his own village, the result would really make Onaki shudder. This is the god of pit, specializing in dealing with his own people. And Onaki couldn't understand why Sarutobi Hiruzen actually left this god of pit regardless of what he has done. That Yondaime Hokage is also a strange flower among strange flowers. How can he teach such two strange things? Kill the Yondaime Hokage. Asahi couldn't help being shocked, although Danza must be doing things from behind when the original Obito attacks Konoha, but this guy is too good at doing things. Now that Kyuubi is gone, he still wants to kill Minato. That madman is indeed very admirable. Then, old man, what do you think? Should we agree to Danza or what? After Asahi pondered for a while, he didn't bother to complain about this madman, as he wouldn't do any harm to Asahi and the others. I am not sure, that's why I came to you. My personal thought is not to participate in this matter, as we don't need to tear our face with Konoha. And this matter is also completely thankless task. Onaki is not a fool. This kind of thing is not good for him, and there are still a lot of former Konoha's people in his village. If he chose to target Danza, these people will definitely raise their hands in agreement, but against Yondaime Hokage, it is difficult to make them feel good. So Onaki's idea is to ignore Danza. After all, Asahi's plan of digging the wall has been going smoothly. But Asahi's ideas have always been wild, so he must ask Asahi's opinion. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am poor guy. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 5 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 67, Chapter 67 Kill with a borrowed knife. Old man, your thought is correct, we will not participate in this time, however, even if we do not participate in it, we must push it forward, otherwise, it will not be conducive to our follow-up plans. Asahi touched his chin and said. They will definitely not participate, but for the follow-up, Asahi has to push it. What do you mean? Onaki asked with a puzzled expression, and he started to be confused. If we didn't participate, how would we push it? It's very simple. Just think about it. I know his character very well, so Yondaime Hokage is now the stumbling block in front of us. If Danza wants to kill Yondaime Hokage alone, it's almost impossible. And if Yondaime Hokage does not die, his character will make him treat the Uchiha clan kindly. After all, he is not Sandaime Hokage and Danza. These two people are very hostile to the Uchiha clan because of Senju Tobirama, so they are pushing the Uchiha clan to death. With them, we can poach the Uchiha clan. But if Yondaime Hokage become a peacemaker in the middle, with his character and ability, the situation of the Uchiha clan will only get better and better in the future. At that time, we would have no chance to dig out the Uchiha clan. As for the Hyuga clan, there won't be too much trouble, but the Yondaime Hokage will also become a stumbling block. So for the sake of the plan, we can't let Yondaime Hokage lives, and Konoha's weakening is good for us. Asahi's eyes flickered a few times as he said this. I am a bad guy, aren't I? No, if I am a bad guy, I would have done so many bad things from behind the scene. My purpose is just to dig every corner of Konoha, and I am also not from Konoha. Konoha is my enemy. Only Iwagakure is his own, so he doesn't think it's bad to be cruel to the enemy. Then, what are we going to do now? Onaki is used to this. After all, it is not once or twice Asahi pits Konoha. It's very simple. Old man, do you remember the Akatsuki organization that I asked you to pay attention to? Introduce this organization to Danza. He must be very familiar with that organization, help him connect with them. Even if our Iwagakure will not participate, there will always be someone involved at that time. Asahi said with a smile. Because there is no Kyuubi, there is no such thing as the seal weaken as the Jinchuriki is giving birth. Although Obito has awakened Manjeki, it is only one eye, and it is not enough to face against Minato. So whether Obito will choose to take action is still a question, and Asahi is not sure. Since he is not sure, he can just push it from behind the scene and let Danza contact the Akatsuki. Then Obito will naturally know. Once Obito knows, he may not be able to do something by using the power of Kirigakure. With the addition of Akatsuki, even if there is no Kyuubi's attack, it is estimated that it will be enough for Konoha to be in trouble. Asahi continues to develop the plan to be more convenient, and he did not directly participate in this matter. Only he and Onaki knew that this, and it would not affect any of his plans at all. When Danza's use value is gone, he will directly destroy Danza, but it is better to keep him now. As this tool is too satisfactory. As for the Akatsuki, he asked Onaki to take care of it. Because of his appearance, the Third Shinobi World War ended early, so some changes have taken place with Nagato and the others' plot. When the war just broke out, Nagato and the others were trapped by Hanzo and Danza, and then Nagato was decisively blackened. After 2 years of development, a blackened person is definitely not going to be weak. The Akatsuki has even recruited a few people to join them, such as Kakuzu. Even in less than 2 years, Nagato is very strong. He simply grew up to the point of killing Hanzo and directly occupied Amigakure, becoming the master behind the scenes. As for Danza, he helped Danza to trap the Akatsuki, but the person who operated it was Hanzo, and he did not expose him, so Asahi could even sell him afterwards. Of course, Asahi still intends to collect experience from the Akatsuki. As long as Obito is still there, controlling from behind the scene, he can try to dig a few more important people, but before that, it is necessary to collect the experience pack. Akatsuki organization. I remembered it. I really pitied Konoha now. With you attacking them from behind, Konoha has no chance at all. Fortunately, you were born in Iwagakure. Onaki has become accustomed to Asahi's evil plans. Onaki is already very strong in this respect, but compared with Asahi, he is just a newbie. You have already sighed with emotion while saying that sentence many times, can you not say the same thing every time? Asahi couldn't help rolling his eyes. If he was born in a place like Konoha, he would not be in the mood to covet other people's corners, and would choose another way to violently crush all obstacles. After all, Konoha and Iwagakure are two different concepts. In Iwagakure, when he burst out with such power, he was accepted as a disciple by Onaki. However, in Konoha, it is estimated that Danzo would have already brainwashed and put cursed seal on him. They are not the same concept at all. That's right, but I'm already old now. When do you plan to take the Sashikige's position from this old man? If it happens, I can just rest happily. Just look at the other great shinobi villages, which village still has their sandame working? Onaki keeps complaining. Now that the other villages have their yondame, only his own village is still in sandame. Although there are enough talents, it is extremely troublesome to find someone to be Sashikige. Don't ask me, I don't want to be the Sashikige. You can find someone else. Uncle Kitsuchi is not bad. Although he is a bit too down-to-earth, he is practical enough to do things. We are also nearby to assist him, so there should be no problems. I am already used to being free. If you asked me to sit in the office all day, I would rather go to destroy the other shinobi villages directly. Asahi said as he doesn't want to sit in the office all day. Because the current Iwagakure has grown several times larger than the original, Onaki needs to work all day long, taking care big and small things. If it wasn't for Tsunada's help, it is estimated that Onaki would have to follow Naruto's footsteps, and began to use shadow clones to process the paperworks. By the way, Tsunade did not bring too many forbidden techniques when she came over, but Orochimaru is different, he almost emptied Konoha's stash. After all, in addition to studying eternal life, his most favorite thing to play with forbidden technique. So Iwagakure now has almost all Konoha's forbidden techniques. It also includes shadow clone technique, but just in case, only a few such as Onaki learned this technique. They will not spread such a technique casually until most of the various digging plans have been completed. Is the Sashikige's position so bad? Look at Konoha, everyone there has been fighting for Hokage's position. Onaki was a little speechless. He originally planned to step down after the war. Although Asahi is still young, it is not a problem. After all, for Iwagakure to be able to develop so much, it is all thanks to Asahi. They can just ignore his age or something. That's their Konoha, not our Iwagakure. Anyway, I won't take the Sashikige's position. You should look for someone else. If you really can't find anyone, just keep doing it by yourself, but I can remind you that it is fine to delegate authority properly. Iwagakure's development will become bigger and bigger, and you will be too busy at that time, old man, so you can simply delegate the matter correctly, and you just need to control the most fundamental part. Of course, you can't just delegate them recklessly. You definitely know this point better than me, so I'll just remind you. By the way, remember to make Danzo and the Akatsuki meet. Then, I will go first. After saying that, Asahi left directly. As for becoming the Sashikige, it is impossible. Even if Onaki can't find anyone, they can just wait until Kurotsuchi can take up the position. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 5 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 68, Uchiha Obito, who caught the opportunity. That guy Onaki is really an old fox, but I already didn't expect him to agree. I just want to try it out, but I didn't expect that guy would introduce other people to me. Akatsuki, huh? At this moment, Danzo's face became a little complicated after seeing the information sent by Onaki about the Akatsuki. He was very familiar with the Akatsuki. This organization rose up in Amigakure, and it was a very troublesome organization for everyone at the time. Even Hanzo had a terrible headache, and this guy invited Danzo to help, but Nagato's outbreak was too terrifying, so Danzo had to run away. After that, Danzo also learned the news of Hanzo's fall. The only thing he was fortunate about was that he didn't reveal his existence when he joined forces with Hanzo to take care of the Akatsuki, otherwise, he would really be unlucky by following Hanzo along. However, he didn't expect that the Akatsuki to develop so fast that Hanzo would be killed so quickly, and Onaki to recommend this organization to him. But now, he doesn't seem to have much choice in finding help. Send this to Amigakyo. In the end, Danzo has no other way. Yondaime Hokage is in power, and he has not really risen yet. He may not be threatened by Minato right now, but it may not be the same afterwards. After he slowly established his footing as Yondaime Hokage, Danzo might suffer a loss. As time goes by, he will only become more and more disadvantaged in the dark, so while Minato has not fully established his footing, he must eliminate Minato, otherwise, let alone being a Hokage, he may not be able to do anything in the future. After a while, the documents in Danzo's hands were sent to the Akatsuki. Danzo also knew that Amigakyo was in Akatsuki's control, so he sent it to Amigakyo, as the information would be sent to Nagato directly. Danzo. The Shinobi world is still as dark as ever. After seeing what was in his hand, Nagato couldn't help but shook his head. At this moment, he is having a strange device planted on his back, and the Rinnegan is also not his own, so it turns him into bone-like figure. Nagato, what is it? When Kanon saw the change in Nagato's face, she asked with some doubts, and Nagato didn't mean to hide it, and directly passed the scroll to Kanon. After Kanon read the above information, she couldn't help but curse it angrily. Is authority so important? Because of Hokage's position, this guy can directly harm his own village, this. Kanon couldn't find what words to use, she only felt that it was too dark. Although they were indeed in the dark, they are inevitably shocked by what Danzo did. As he was really ruthless. This is the human nature. In this world of war, only by feeling pain can this world change. Nagato shook his head. He had long since been desperate for this world. When Yoriko died, he fell into despair, that's why he gave up his original, unrealistic or even quite dream idea, and started the current plan instead. Then, do we need to be involved in this matter? Kanon asked with some uncertainty. Of course. The central point of every Shinobi World War is Konoha, so this is also an opportunity. Although it is indeed a bit bad to deal with such a person, in order to make the world feel pain, we don't need to care about these small details. Promise Danzo, we can help him deal with Yondaime Hokage. Nagato doesn't matter about good or evil. As long as he can achieve his goals, he can do anything. Small sacrifice in exchange for big benefits is the best choice, so this matter is a pretty good choice. I understand, then I'll go and notify the others now. Kanon looked at Nagato with a complicated expression and left. She also knew about Nagato's situation. She felt that it was not good to join forces with Danzo, but now she only has Nagato left, so there is nothing to say. Nagato's decision is her decision. Soon, this news was passed on to several important people by special means, and Obito, who is in the land of water at this moment, naturally knew about this too. After Obito was blackened, he was like a mad dog, no matter who it is, he hates them all. And Konoha is no exception. He even attributed the failure to protect Rin to Minato, and it also radiated to the people around Minato. Right now, Obito is crazy enough to do anything. So after receiving this news, he showed a frenzied smile. Konoha, it's really a good opportunity. Danzo, that mad dog really bites everyone, but this is a good opportunity. Maybe I can destroy Konoha in one go. Obito is completely mad at this moment. It is not enough for Akatsuki to join, as he needs more power. His idea is actually to destroy Konoha directly, and the same is true in the original work, but his plan was destroyed by Minato in the original work. But this time, he knew that he was going to target Konoha, so he even directly used Kirigakyo's power. Obito, you'd better control your impulse on this matter, don't play around. At this time, a half-black and half-white guy slowly rose from under the ground. I don't need you to take care of my decision. Also, I am Uchiha Madara now. Remember to call me Uchiha Madara. As for playing around, how is it possible? Konoha will definitely become an obstacle to us. I can't just let Kirigakyo to directly participate in it. Even if I control Yagura, there's no way I can do it, so I still need Danza to help me. Although Obito is crazy at this moment, he is not stupid. He knew that although he controls Yagura now, if he gets Yagura to launch a war against Konoha, many people will not listen to Yagura's words. He still needs to use Yagura to retaliate against Kirigakyo, so Yagura, who has become his chess piece, can't be discarded so easily. However, he can use other methods to use Akatsuki to link Danza and Yagura, and then ruthlessly take revenge against Konoha. If Konoha can be destroyed, he will be even more happy. Even if Konoha is not destroyed, Konoha will definitely be severely weakened again. In addition to the previous series of defections, this time after the other party was caught off guard, the other villages will definitely more than happy to join in. The Third Shinobi World War ended too fast, so let me add another fire. Obito couldn't help laughing wildly as he said that. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugui. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Pugui. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 5 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 69, Chapter 69 Chain Combo. After Obito laughed wildly for a while, he began to use Akatsuki to link Danza and Yagura. Yagura had Danza as the reason, so Kirigakyo's shinobi, who were slaughtered by a wave of failure before, would also be moved, and then he can get them to join. Regarding Obito's madness, even Black Zetsu felt that it is a bit too much, but as long as it did not affect his plan, he would not care about anything. As for Asahi, he didn't care about it. Because of his series of plan, the operation caused Obito started to explode to a bigger scene, and as expected, the plot has changed beyond recognition. But this time, things are like a super chain combo. Asahi's series of operations and Obito's series of operations have caused the entire Shinobi world to become even more weird, but even if Asahi knows about Obito's operations, he will only give him a thumbs up. To be honest, Obito will undoubtedly give him an opportunity by doing this. If Obito can really start a war again, it would have nothing to do with Iwagakure this time. And it is estimated that it is a matter of several other Shinobi villages, but their target is definitely Konoha, so several digging plans can be carried out more smoothly. This chain combo is started by 2 people, and the result could almost radiate to the entire Shinobi world. It can only be said that the Shinobi world is indeed in a situation that affects the whole world. Other villages have been eyeing Konoha for a long time, as a few of their kid-level powerhouses disappeared in one breath, and their Baiju is also gone. If it wasn't for Iwagakure, they would not just be in a wait-and-see stance. This time, as long as any village dares to take action, then other villages will definitely join immediately, so Konoha's power will also be split even more. And the root of all this is Asahi. After a series of Obito's operations, Danza directly contacted Yagura, but Danza is a little surprised when he saw this. He didn't know much about the Akatsuki. He only knew that the other party was strong, and Danza's thought was also very simple: no matter how strong you are, you're just an organization, can it still compete against a powerful village like Konoha? But now, the Akatsuki was able to get Yagura to participate. It didn't make Danza think too much about it, but he still felt that Akatsuki and Yagura's relationship is not simple. So, after knowing that the Akatsuki has a relationship with Kirigakyo, he didn't hesitate to choose Kirigakyo and Akatsuki as helpers. Originally, he planned to find Onaki, but Onaki didn't want to participate in this matter, so he could only find some other helpers. After receiving the news from Danza, Obito directly controlled Yagura to hold a higher-ups meeting, and told everyone about his thoughts and the deal with Konoha's Danza. The Kirigakyo, who had their flesh bitten off by Iwagakure and Konoha, is very unhappy, so now that there is a chance to do things, and there also has Konoha's elder as their internal helper, they of course agreed. Mitsukichi-sama, how can you guarantee that this matter is not a trap? What if it is a trap? One of the Kirigakyo's elders of Mist Shinobi asked. He was in a faction that opposed Yagura. After all, the bloody mist policy Yagura implemented during this period has caused the villagers to panic. You should know the current situation of Konoha. For the kid-level powerhouses, there are only Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danza and Namikaze Minato left. As for the others, 2 of the Sannin have defected, and they also lost their Jinchuriki. The last Sannin has also left the village. At this time, even if it is a trap, what are you afraid of? In addition, Amigakyo will also participate. Don't forget, the controller behind them has killed Hanza, who is known as a demigod. As long as we win this time, we can get a lot of benefits from Konoha. If we don't participate, we won't be able to fish in this muddy water. Obito controlled Yugura and directly returned the words of the elder. Then how can you guarantee that Iwagakure will not participate in this matter? If Iwagakure participates, then we will not have the slightest chance at all. Another elder also raised his own question. When Iwagakure was mentioned, everyone's faces collapsed directly. Iwagakure is too terrifying and is not an opponent at all, especially Asahi, which has been listed first in the list of people who must not be provoked by all great shinobi villages. Although there is a reward from Asahi on the black market, who dares to accept it? This is the new god of shinobi. Even Kakuzu, who likes money and had tried to assassinate the previous god of shinobi, resisted the temptation. At that time, Kakuzu would definitely die if Hashirama wanted to kill him. Therefore, he has a certain resistance to the title god of the shinobi, and he didn't dare to touch Asahi at all. Iwagakure won't be involved now. Danza first contacted Onaki, and now, Iwagakure doesn't care about the little profit from us at all, and once Iwagakure participates, we will just withdraw directly, and don't engage in any confrontation with Iwagakure, so there should be no trouble. After all, would they forcibly attack us if we don't do anything to them? If they really want to finish us, they won't have waited until now. After being persuaded by Obito, Kirigakure's higher-ups also agreed to the plan this time. After that, Yugura led a series of experts in the village to participate in this event. On the other side, Nagato also sent his 6 paths of pain, but the 6 paths of pain had not been fully gathered yet at this time. Except for Deva Path, Yoriko, as the other avatars were collected from the people Jiraiya has met and wrote in his book, so the collection has not been completed yet. However, Nagato still felt that it should be more than enough. As for his main body, he set off with Kanon. Kanon will be responsible for the safety of his main body. Although they don't fully trust Obito, who calls himself Uchiha Madara, there is no conflict between them. Although Nagato does not know what Obito and Yugura's relationship is, but as long as there is help, he won't care about so many details, and both sides are in the stage of using each other. On the other side, Danza also started planning, and the time he chose was the time when Minato's wife gives birth. Although Minato's wife this time is not Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, but this kind of time is still good, as it will be the time when Minato relax. It's almost like the Kyuubi's attack, although the plot was destroyed and the plot inertia at the moment had become an invasion battle with Akatsuki and Kirigakure participating. Iwagakure's intelligence department has been paying attention to this matter. Although they didn't know much about the details, they can still dig out some things. Danza is really good. No, it should be said that Obito is really crazy. This time, Konoha is also going to be very unlucky. Will it become a war again? If it really becomes a war, unless Mount Mibaku intervenes, Konoha will be destroyed this time. Asahi couldn't help but side with emotion. Obito was much more ruthless than I thought. The plot won't let Konoha be destroyed, right? Originally, Asahi thought that it was just right for the current Akatsuki to participate, but how could he expect that Obito would actually involve Kirigakure too? He is simply trying to destroy 2 villages at once. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Pugwi. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 7 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 70, Prepare to intervene. No, Konoha is not so simple to be destroyed easily. Sandame, Jiraiya, Danza and Minato, it is certain that Minato will die, but the remaining 3 kid-level powerhouses should not be underestimated. Moreover, Uchiha Fugaku may not continue to hide. After all, it is a matter of life and death, and Uchiha Shisui only needs to use his Kotomatsu Kami, which is enough to make the enemy directly turn to their side. Asahi, who thought Konoha was definitely finished, suddenly shook his head, and threw this unrealistic idea away. Konoha is not so fragile, let alone other things, just the few that Asahi counted just now are not easy to deal with. Moreover, Gamemaru from Mount Mibaku also confirmed that Jiraiya's disciple will bring changes to the world as the child of the prophecy, so how can he just sit back and watch? So if Mount Mibaku intervenes in the final stage, there is nothing impossible, and once Mount Mibaku intervenes, it will be the same as a group of powerhouses joining Konoha, and it will be difficult for Konoha to be destroyed. So, when it was mentioned at the beginning that Konoha can fight in 1 against 4 is really not impossible. After all, Konoha has too many hidden cards. Of course, that was just the beginning. Now that Asahi has dug away so many of their experts in one breath, no matter how you look at it, it's impossible for Konoha to fight in 1 against 4 situation. It's really troublesome, but this time, there's no way the other villages will leave alone. It is not suitable for Iwagakure to participate in the battle, but the others are different. Asahi can almost be sure that this time Konoha will experience a disaster, and Minato would die. After all, the transaction between Danza and Akatsuki is to kill Minato, and Obito also wants Minato to die, so Minato will undoubtedly die. But Asahi can't let the Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan get into trouble. He has to poach these two clans, so if he can't make a move, he can only find other people. You want us to help Konoha? After making the decision, Asahi found Tsunade and Kushina. After some time, Tsunade's hemophobia has been cured by the therapy Asahi suggested. As for Kushina, she can now connect with Kyuubi, and use the complete Baiju mode. Even Nagato in his heyday can't do anything against her strength. To be precise, in terms of one-on-one, the current Kushina is almost at invincible level in the Shinobi world. After all, Kyuubi's strength is too great, and Asahi can't help but recall some of the strange comments he has seen in the past. When Sage of Six Paths distributed the power of Jubi to the 9 Baiju, Shukaku always said that Sage of Six Paths favors Kyuubi too much. Originally, he didn't care about it, but now, he has to admit that this is the truth, as Kyuubi's strength is too imbalanced. The combined Baiju Dama of 6 Baiju from Nibi to Rokubi was directly suppressed by half of the Kyuubi. It's only half of the Kyuubi, even half of his heyday strength could defeat the combination of the other Baiju, so the current Kushina is the authentic queen of one-on-one battle. That's right, but you made a mistake. According to our information, Danza wanted to take the Hokage's position, and it had caused such a big movement. On the bright side, Iwagakure can't make a move, as my ability will be easily recognized. But you two are different. You two were originally Konoha's people, even if you were called traitors now. Moreover, what I wanted you to help is not Konoha, but a few clans. After listening to Asahi's words, Tsunade was a little speechless. During this period of time, they have already regarded Iwagakure as their home. After all, this place is much better than Konoha. There is no need to worry about people from the same village scheming against them in the dark. After staying here for a while, they have already let go of their pasts, and really regard themselves as Iwagakure's people, so the situation is making them a little speechless. However, in the end, the two agreed. Well, in fact, maybe you don't need to act this time. I'm asking you two to go there just in case. I believed Konoha's strength is enough to fight the other party, so I'm asking for you just as insurance. If there is no problem, you don't even need to take action, I will also follow you guys. After all, the Hyuga clan must also be put on the agenda. Asahi had already greeted Fugaku in advance, so he just needed to wait for them to be forced by Konoha's higher-ups until they are in despair. However, he had no bargaining chips for Hyuga clan before, so maybe he can try it this time. There is also Kirigakure. This time, if there's no surprise, Kirigakure will be the most pitiful. They were fooled by Obito to help him attack Konoha, and they think that they can directly take the first bite of the meat, but they didn't know that they are going there to deliver food. Therefore, Asahi can also try dig out some people from Kirigakure. At this stage, by taking advantage of the situation, Konoha and Kirigakure are the easiest to deal with. If he doesn't get in and join the party, then he will be sorry for himself. However, Asahi can't take action himself. After all, Danza is trying to kill Minato, so this matter is confidential and others don't know about it. If Konoha knows that Kirigakure is going to attack them, they will most likely ask Iwagakure for help. After all, the two sides are still allies. But this time, they were really caught off guard. That is, Asahi, Onaki and Iwagakure belonged to the middle, so it was possible for them to obtain so much information. Otherwise, Asahi estimated that he wouldn't know about this until Konoha was defeated. You really plan to hollow out Konoha? Both Tsunade and Kushina looked at Asahi helplessly. After all, they were also dug up like this. It's not that I intend to hollow out Konoha. There's no need for it. At least, I didn't dare to dig the higher-ups like Sandame and the elders. I only need some talents similar to yours, that's all. Asahi shook his head. In fact, besides the Uchiha and Hyuga clan, there are other clans that can be dug, but if he wanted to dig other clans, he must wait until Sandame is dead. At that time, Danza will definitely help him. Once Danza takes the top position, the entire Konoha will fall into chaos, and he will even have a chance to dig those clans who supported Sandame's faction. His goal is actually plain and simple, as he didn't arrive in Konoha when he crossed over, he will recreate Konoha at Iwagakure. That's why we have this series of digging plans. Forget it, you can decide for yourself, we just need to follow you. Anyway, with your ability, we don't need to worry about anything at all. Tsunade shook her head. Asahi is one of the people she admires the most. In the past, it was her grandfather, Senju Hashirama, but now it is Asahi. After all, his ability to do things is really terrifying. She believed that if Asahi was born early, Konoha would probably be gone.